Tonight, we are diving into a story bigger than ever. Far beyond familiar stars, astronomers discover a cluster of suns where nothing grows old, nothing fades. Light still travels, gravity still holds, but the ticking forward you've always known simply stops. A research vessel drifts into this stillness, carrying thoughtful minds and steady hearts. Their clocks slow, then fall silent, yet their thoughts continue, clear and unbroken. Sleep comes, fear and wonder rise gently, like tides without a shore. Days stretch into something softer, longer, measured only by memory and breath. Some aboard feel comfort here, wrapped in a universe that cannot hurry them. Others feel the weight of a question waiting patiently in the dark. Deeper within the frozen stars, something stirs, something that has been held without change, without end, and without release. In the quiet dark between the stars, a strange picture appeared on a screen. Far from any planet, a deep space observatory watched a small cluster of suns. They looked normal at first. They burned with steady light. They pulled on nearby dust and gas with familiar gravity. But as months passed, the picture did not change. Supernova remnants in that cluster did not spread out or cool. Clouds of debris stayed the same sharp shape. Hot gas that should have faded stayed just as bright. Radioactive elements, measured by their special colors, did not weaken at all. Spectral lines stayed fixed, night after night, like a paused movie of the sky. On Earth, teams checked the data again and again. The numbers stayed steady. Time in that place did not seem to move. Years later, the research vessel Kassandra moved toward the strange region. At first, all instruments showed normal space. Far from Earth, clocks on the ship ticked in perfect step with clocks back home. Then, slowly, they began to slip. Near the boundary of the still time zone, precision timers on board slowed, then stalled. External counters stopped. But inside their bodies, the crew felt no change. Hearts beat, lungs pulled in air. Thoughts and feelings went on. Dr. Simone Klein watched as a digital clock on the wall froze, while her pulse under her wrist stayed steady. Lieutenant Noah Patel called for calm tests. The crew checked blood, brain waves, and reflexes. Their cells did not show aging, yet they still felt hunger and fear. They understood they had crossed into a place where time for matter had stopped, but awareness had not. Mission plans said they would spend a short, measured interval inside and then return. But once external clocks fell silent, their sense of duration began to stretch. Days felt long, then longer, like slow tides of thought. Without physical wear, they could not tell how much had passed. Some crew members began to see the still time zone as a gentle place, safe from death. Others felt uneasy, trapped in a calm pool around a deeper darkness, where something had been held without change for an unknown span. Now, for the first time, that stillness was no longer alone. At first, the strange star cluster was just another set of numbers on a long list. In the year 2285, human eyes and machines watched space from far beyond the outer planets. Deep space observatories floated in quiet orbits, far from dust and glare. They mapped stars, gas, and faint signals from the thin arms of the galaxy. On a calm night shift, an analyst noticed a small mark on a screen. It was a group of suns in deep interstellar space, between two spiral arms. Nothing around it looked special. The stars shone with steady light. Gravity there worked just as all models said it should. But a layer of data did not fit. The analyst checked a supernova remnant near the center of the cluster. It had been logged 10 years before, when the first pass through that part of the sky was made. Back then, it showed fresh, hot debris. The gas glowed in high-energy colors. Shock fronts were sharp and bright. 10 years later, the new reading looked exactly the same. At first, people thought there must be a mistake. Someone pulled the wrong file. A timestamp had shifted. Teams from 3 observatories compared raw data. They lined up the old and new images. Every knot of gas, every faint curl of dust matched, down to the limit of their instruments. In a normal supernova remnant, gas spreads outward year by year. It cools. The shape blurs. Hints of the explosion's direction fade. But here, the blast seemed frozen in mid-flight. They checked other supernova remnants in the same region. All were stuck. Nothing had expanded. Nothing had cooled. Next, they looked at radioactive decay. Certain elements give off clear, sharp spectral lines as they change into other elements. The strength of those lines falls in a known pattern with time. It is so steady that it is used as a clock. In this cluster, those lines did not fade. Over years of watching, the signal stayed just as strong. It was as if the atoms had decided not to change. By now, the data had been checked by many groups. Gravity fields were normal. Light crossed the region at normal speed. But any process that depended on time itself was stalled. A quiet name began to pass through reports. The still time cluster, on Earth, in a mountain observatory, Dr. 6 was. Simone Klein sat with a thin tablet, reading the latest graphs. She was in her early 50s, with silver in her dark hair and soft lines at the corners of her eyes. She had spent her life looking for patterns in the sky. Star streams, dark matter halos, slow shifts in cosmic background light. These were the shapes that filled her mind. Now she looked at a pattern that did not change at all. It does not drift, she said softly to herself. Not even a little. Her office window showed a clear night over the valley. She barely saw it. Her focus was on the cluster, far beyond anything that could be seen with bare eyes. Her assistant, a younger astronomer named Reno, stepped inside. Still reading the frozen remnant. It is not just the remnant, Simone said. It is every decay trace across that field. She pointed at a cluster of colored lines. If this were anywhere else, they would relax with time. But here they stay fixed, perfectly fixed. Instrument error? I thought so. But the deep space arrays agree. The long Vaseline interferometers agree. Even the old survey data, once corrected for distance, agrees. She gave a small sigh, not of fear, but of deep curiosity. Gravity works, but time as we know it does not. A message alert glowed on her screen. She opened it. It was from the Interstellar Research Council. Subject: Mission proposal, in situ study of still-time region. Her heart beat a little faster. Weeks later, in orbit above Earth. Lieutenant, it keeps you awake. But it does not have to drive you. He had held on to that idea. He had read the briefs on the still-time cluster. He understood the risk the way a pilot understands thin air. If something in that region could stop decay, it could stop ship systems too. If their clocks failed, they could lose sync with the rest of the universe. Still, the mission was clear. Go in, observe, and come back. Noah Patel watched the Kassandra from a shuttle window. The research vessel hung against the curve of the planet like a long, dark seed. Its hull was smooth and pale, broken by bands of sensor arrays and shield plates. Its drive sections were quiet, waiting. Noah was in his late 30s, with calm eyes and a steady way of moving. He had led patrol runs and science escorts in the outer system. He believed strongly that humans could meet the unknown without panic. When he was a child, his grandmother had told him, "Fear is part of the mind." The shuttle eased into the Kassandra's bay with a soft thump. Airlocks cycled, the doors opened. On the other side stood Dr. Stott. And 4he1. Signal Ma. The doors opened. Simone Klein. Commander Patel, she said, offering her hand. Dr. Klein, he answered, taking it. Her grip was warm and firm. Good to finally meet in person. I have seen your flight logs, she said. You have carried many restless scientists to edges of maps. I try to bring them back, he said, and gave a small smile. She smiled back. Let us do that again. The Kassandra left Earth orbit with almost no noise. In space, there is nothing to carry sound. But inside, the crew felt the gentle pull of acceleration as the drives lit. They were a small team, pilots, engineers, life support techs, data specialists, and a science group led by Dr. Klein. There was no sense of battle or race. Their mode was quiet and focused, as if heading into a library no one had entered before. Days passed in deep space. Outside the windows, stars drifted slowly as the ship changed heading. The path curved away from the sun, past the edge of the heliosphere, into the clean dark between stars. On the bridge, Noah stood with Simone before a wide display. It showed their route, a thin line moving from the local arm into a sparse region between arms. Everything looks normal so far, Noah said. No odd gravity wells, no strange radiation spikes. It should stay that way, Simone replied. The anomaly should not show itself until we reach the event boundary. Soft boundary, Noah said. Not like a wall. Our models suggest a gradient. She tapped a control, and the display zoomed in on their destination, a faint sphere appeared around the cluster. Here, decay-based readings should begin to flatten. The effect should grow stronger as we move inward. How do we know we can cross back out? He asked. She looked at him with clear eyes. We do not know with full certainty, but all the signals from outside can still enter the region. Light is not trapped. Gravity is not strange. Only time-based changes inside seem to halt. And us, he said. Our bodies are time-based. That, she said gently, is what we must measure, step by step. Weeks later, the Kassandra cut its speed as it neared the plotted boundary. The crew gathered in their stations. Every sensor they had was brought online. On the bridge, the air was steady and cool. Soft lights glowed on panels. There was no alarm, only careful attention. Distance to projected boundary, 2 light hours, called Maya, the navigation officer. No signs of gravity distortion, added Kenji. The chief engineer, drive field stable, hull stress nominal. Begin high-frequency decay tests, Simone said. In labs along the central spine, small samples weighted, known radioactive isotopes sealed in careful containers. Chemical reactions started at precise times, oscillating crystals that counted seconds by steady vibration under normal conditions. Each of these acted like a clock. As the ship crossed the last stretch of normal space, the readings came in as expected. Decay rates matched models. Chemical reactions moved along their curves. Distance, 90 minutes to boundary, Maya said. Simone watched the graphs. Her mind felt calm, almost slow, as if it were already adjusting to the idea of long stretches of quiet measurement. 50 minutes came the next call. No obvious change. Stay on it, Noah said. Record everything. No step taken without a mark. The bridge fell into a soft silence. They had all trained for this. No one spoke more than needed. No one fidgeted. They watched screens, checked straps, and listened to their own breath. 10 minutes to boundary, Maya said. Simone's tablet showed a row of decay curves. For a while, they were smooth, easing down. Then, near the time the boundary was supposed to appear, the lines began to flatten. Here it is, she said quietly. Kenji's voice came from engineering. Getting the same on my side. Beta decay counts are leveling. Half-life signatures are not falling the way they should. Compensate and confirm, Noah said. They ran the data through 3 separate systems. Each one showed the same change. As the Kassandra moved forward, time-based processes outside living bodies began to slow. 5 minutes, Maya said. Her voice stayed even, but there was a slight pause before the words. On the walls, digital clocks counted down to the planned crossing. The numbers flowed. 4:59, 4:59, 4:57. Then, without warning, 3 of the clocks froze. Bridge clock cluster 3 is stuck, called Jessa, the system's tech. Local reset, Noah ordered. She tapped controls. Nothing changed on that strip of displays. Other clusters, he asked. 2 and 4 are still running, Jessa said. But drift is rising. They do not match reference anymore. Biological readings? Simone asked. In the med bay, Dr. Edakar checked her monitors. Heart rates normal. Brain rhythms normal. Metabolic markers normal. If our bodies are slowing, it is not enough to see yet. 2 minutes, Maya said. Crossing in sightline now, the main screen showed stars ahead. Simone felt her pulse. It beat in a steady rhythm in her neck. She watched the nearest clock. 0:27, 0:26, 0:25. At 0:23, that clock stopped. The room seemed to hold its breath. Main chronometer frozen, Jessa said. AUX units drifting to 0. They did not look different. There was no visible wall, no color shift, just normal starlight in a black sea, but on the graphs, the lines were going flat. The ship did not slow further. They had already chosen this course. Do we still have outside link? Noah asked. For now, communications answered. Earth reference is still coming in, but lag spacing is not matching our ongoing time tags. It is like our tags are thinning out. Simone felt a calm, curious ache in her chest. We are moving off their timeline, she said. Then they crossed the boundary. There was no lurch, no light flash, no shift in gravity. The ship continued forward with the same soft hum. People blinked, air flowed, nothing obvious changed. Status? Noah asked. Kenji answered first. Drive output steady, power flow steady, but my decay-based monitors are all flat. No particle counters are ticking down anymore. Chemical clock? Simone asked. In Lab 2, replied a young chemist. Anna, the reaction we started 4 hours ago has stopped mid-state. It is holding at the same concentration values. It is not moving forward at all, even though temperature and pressure are constant. Biological? Noah turned to Med. Edda read from her display. Heart rates, blood oxygen, body temperature, all as before. No sudden change. I can feel my own pulse. It is normal. In the silence that followed, each crew member listened to their chest, felt the air passing through their nose, and noticed their thoughts flowing from moment to moment. Inside their minds, time felt present. Around them, all their non-living clocks had given up. Simone looked at her hand. The faint lines on her skin were the same as always. She knew they would not deepen here, not as they would in normal space. Something in this region held matter in a fixed state. Yet she still felt aware, alive, moving from thought to thought. Noah met her eyes. We are inside, he said. Yes, she answered softly. We are now in the still time zone. The next hours, if they could still be called that, went to tests. In one lab, they measured plant cells taken from a small growth pod. Under a microscope, tiny structures inside the cells showed no sign of division. They seemed pinned in the stage they had been in at the moment of entry. They seemed pinned in the stage they had been in at the moment of entry. In another lab, a controlled fuel cell was set to burn. A tiny, amount of stored fuel. The reaction began, then held at a fixed state of partial burn, neither using up more fuel nor cooling down. In the engine room, Kenji watched reactor stats. Core output is stable, he reported, and not decaying as it normally would under load. It is like the reactor is locked at a single point of operation. Simone wrote notes in a digital log, even though the timestamps had frozen. External time. She recorded no longer tracks with our inner sense. Clocks based on decay or vibration are stopped. However, consciousness continues. Speech, thought, choice, and emotion move in a line that feels like time. On the bridge, Noah gave a short talk over the ship's comms. We have crossed into a region where normal time for matter is halted, he said. But we are still here. Breath still moves in and out. Thoughts still form. We can feel worry, calm. Curiosity, we can listen to music. We can close our eyes and sleep. Our mission now is to understand this place and decide together how long to stay. He paused, considering the words. We will act as if time passes. He went on. We will keep routines. We will eat when we are hungry, rest when we are tired, and work in shifts. We will not rush, but we will not drift either. Our goal is to remain clear-minded. Fear is allowed. Panic is not needed. Around the ship, crew members listened in their cabins and at their stations. Some gripped armrests a little less tightly. The simple plan gave them a sense of shape. Simple plan gave them a sense of shape. Simone added a message of her own. This is a chance no other humans have had, she said, to be inside a place where change is stopped, while our minds continue. We will study, but we will also feel. Pay close attention to what it is like. How hunger comes, how sleep comes, how your sense of before and after changes without clocks. Your reports will matter to those who hear this story in regular time. She paused, then added, For now, we are safe. No alarms sounded. Hull sensors showed no strain. Outside, stars shone with unblinking light. The universe beyond the still time zone continued its slow dance of change. Inside, the Kassandra and its crew drifted in a calm pocket where matter no longer aged, but awareness still walked forward, step by step, into a new kind of night. At first, life inside the still time zone did not feel so different. On the Kassandra, routine was strong. People followed habits learned over years in space. They woke, they ate, they worked, they talked. They rested without working clocks. They had to decide what counted as morning and night. There was no sun rising or setting outside the windows. The stars hung in a slow, fixed field. Noah and Simone agreed on a simple cycle. Lights in the main corridors would brighten and dim in smooth waves. Bright meant day, dim meant night. Every full cycle from bright to bright would be treated as a ship day. Time outside may not be moving for a matter, Simone said in a meeting, but our minds still need rhythm. In storage, crates of dried meals, grains, and nutrient blocks sat in neat rows. Normally, any captain had to watch them carefully. Food spoiled. Fats turned sour. Proteins broke down. Even in freeze, time did its work. In the still time zone, none of that happened. Kenji and the supply officer, Lila, opened containers at intervals and scanned them. Regular sleep and wake patterns keep us stable. Light techs programmed soft transitions. And transitions, no sig-nos or times transitions. The ship's inner sky took on a gentle glow in its day, with warm tones and crisp edges. During night, the lights slid down to deep blues and soft whites like distant moonlight. They set chimes to mark shifts, not clocks, but simple tones that played when the lighting reached certain levels. The crew began to count ship days by those changes. Food became an early question. Days, then cycles, passed by ship count. They tasted samples. Every time, the food felt as fresh as the moment they had crossed the boundary. "It is strange," Lila said, holding up a clear pack of fruit slices. "These should be browning at the edges by now." "They are not, as long as we do not eat the entire stock in a rush," Kenji said. "We have enough for as long as our minds can stand it." "Eat slowly then," Lila said with a small smile. Even though food did not spoil, hunger still came. The crew's stomachs did not care about the stalled clocks. Signals from brain and gut still ran their cycle. After a certain span of thought and movement, people felt that gentle pull. It is time to eat. They measured meals by feeling instead of by schedule. Some crew ate 3 times per ship day. Guided by habit, others let hunger tell them when to visit the galley. It was the same with sleep. Cells did not age. Muscles did not wear down, but brains still needed rest. After long stretches of focus, eyes grew heavy, thoughts slowed. The soft call of sleep rose in the quiet. In the first ship week, everyone slept roughly, as they always had, around 8 hours per night. Based on the light cycle, dreams came. People woke, remembering both normal scenes and strange ones where clocks melted or stars stood still. They kept logs of these dreams. Simone asked for that, curious about how minds would adapt. Without real-time stamps, logs had to change. They could not say, "At 2:35, this happened." Instead, they used simple counts. Third bright half of ship day 4, or middle dim of ship day 9. It was not perfect, but it gave a sense of order. Each crew member kept a personal log, spoken or written, and a shared log for their team. Subjective time, Simone noted in her research file, is now our main clock. We track by thoughts, by events, by sleep cycles. This is a rare situation where inner time is more stable than outer measures. During days, labs were active. In biology, Edda and her team watched tiny organisms smuggled in from Earth. Yeast, bacteria cultures, plant sprouts. None of them divided. No new cells formed, yet their internal structures did not break down either. "They are frozen," Edda said in a report, "but not dead. If we take them out of the zone, we may see them resume life exactly where they stopped." In engineering, Kenji tested fuel loops. He started and stopped reactor draws, measured heat, and checked for wear. Our hardware does not seem to grind down, he told Noah during a walk through the engine corridor. Bearings do not erode. Insulation does not crack. Under normal stress, this ship could stay in this state for a span that would feel like ages. Does that comfort you? Noah asked. Kenji thought for a moment. The machine in me likes it. The person in me is still deciding. Across the ship, other research went on. Signals from the Still-Time field were measured. Gravity waves from distant sources passed through the region unchanged. Light from background galaxies arrived without delay. Only change inside their little bubble was pinned. As ship days turned into ship weeks, the crew's sense of duration began to stretch. Without a link to outside clocks, they had no way to know how much real time had passed beyond the boundary. A few minutes, hours, it did not matter much to them. Their lives moved along an inner path. They began to count months in sets of 40 ship days. It was an arbitrary choice, but it felt right. A full arc of sleep and work cycles, mood changes, small conflicts, and their gentle fixes. Stories grew. In the galley during the bright hours, people talked about their lives before the mission. Someone would say, "Back home, my family used to go to the sea every summer." Another would answer, "I grew up where there was no sea, only dry flats and wind towers." They shared small games. Card decks came out. Puzzle boards slid onto tables. There was laughter, but it was soft, as if they all knew sound carried in a special way in this quiet region. When they were off shift, some crew members gathered in the observation dome. It was a curved room with a wide, transparent window, showing the star cluster they had come to study. Here the sky looked still. No comet trails. No shifting nebula edges. The supernova remnants in the distance hung like frozen flowers of light. Mira, a data specialist with a love for old music, often came here with a small instrument. She played simple, slow songs from Earth. Notes floated through the dome while the crew watched the unmoving stars. "Feels like we are outside the river," she said once, hands resting on the strings. "Like the whole universe is a stream rushing past, and we stepped onto a stone." Simone, standing nearby, nodded. "Our bodies, yes, our matter is on the stone, but our minds are still in the flow." "Is that safe?" Mira asked. "For now," Simone said. "It seems to be. With no rush and no decay, learning became a key part of life. People who had always wanted to learn a language or an instrument but never had time, now had all the inner time they wished. During 1 month, Dr. Klein ran a class on cosmic structures. She used simple images painted in soft colors on wall projectors to show how galaxies spun, how dark matter shaped star paths, how long arcs of gas flowed between clusters. "Out there," she said, pointing at a spiral pattern, "you would see this arm shift over millions of years. Here, for us, it will never shift at all, even if we watch for what feels like centuries. Will the universe outside outgrow us? Rian asked, will we come back and find everything changed? If our current theories are right, she said, only a little time is passing for them while we are inside. We are the strange ones, stretched out compared to the rest. In another corner of the ship, Kenji taught engineering basics to anyone who wanted to understand the drives. Eda showed interested crew how to read their own blood scans. Mira gave lessons in old songs. Teaching had a soft, deep effect. It gave shape to their days. It made personal growth possible, even when bodies did not change. As the cycles went on, a quiet split began to form in feelings about the zone. Some crew stood in the observation dome and felt comfort. They would touch the cool window and think, I will not wrinkle here. My bones will not thin. My cells will not fail. In this place, age cannot reach me. In small private talks, they gently shared it. I could think for so long, said Fariha, a young mathematician during a walk with Simone down a dim corridor. I could finish every proof I ever dreamed of. I could write books and books of ideas, and when I was done, my hands would still be steady. My eyes would still be clear. Simone listened. Does that idea make you happy? She asked. It feels like a gift, Faria said, like the universe gave us a quiet room to think in, safe from decay. Remember, Simone replied, our minds may still change. Thoughts wear patterns into the brain. Feelings can grow heavy. Timeless does not mean easy. Faria nodded, but her eyes still held a soft light. Others felt the zone as a kind of trap. In another part of the ship, Noah sat with Jessa and Lila in the galley during a calm, dim cycle. Only a few other crew were around. The room was lit by a low blue glow. It bothers me, Jessa said, pushing a spoon around in her bowl. Out there, everything moves. Here, we're like bugs in amber, safe, maybe, but stuck. Safe from what? Though, Lila said, we were not in danger before. We came out here by choice. Now it is like we stepped into a cage. A clear cage, Noah said. Yes, that is the worst part, Jessa answered. We can see out, we can see all that change, and we do not change with it. Noah took a slow breath. We will not stay forever, he said. Our plan is to map, to measure, and to return. Our pause has a limit. Jessa asked softly, what if some of us decide we like it here? The ship cannot drag them back. Noah did not answer at once. He knew she was right. No one could be forced to cross the boundary against their will. Later in his cabin, he recorded a private log. Subjective day count. Unknown, he said. Emotion check. Mixed. Some see the still time zone as shelter. Others see it as a delay from real life. I feel the weight of both sides. Duty says, we must go back. Part of me says, there is calm here. No growing old. No rush. He paused, letting the stillness in the room settle around him. I will hold to the mission, he went on, but I cannot deny the pull. As they spent more subjective time inside the zone, the crew's sense of Earth time faded. News messages from outside no longer came in fresh. Signals they had set up before crossing were meant to keep sending updates, but because their clocks had frozen, the timing did not match. Some packets arrived in strange groups. Some did not arrive at all. They decided, by joint vote, to cut regular attempts to sync and save power. We must accept, Simone told them in a ship-wide talk, that our time and Earth's time have parted paths. When we leave this region, the rest of the universe will have moved a little. We may not be sure by how much until we cross back. In the observation dome, the fixed stars now felt less like points in a map and more like marks on the inside of a glass shell. The crew began to give names to some of them. Not official names, but personal ones. The three sisters, the lantern, the kite. These names helped anchor them. Art projects started to appear. Lila painted tiny galaxies on the walls of the galley with soft glowing pigments. Kenji carved a simple model of the Kassandra from scrap material and hung it in the common room. They were building a small culture inside the still-time bubble. Yet under this slow, steady life, a deeper question kept pressing at them. If they stayed here for what felt like years, what would happen when they left? In a science meeting held in the main lab, Simone drew a simple model on a screen. She showed 2 lines. A red one for outside time, a blue one for ship time. Here. Before we entered, the lines matched, she said. Then, as we crossed, we stepped onto a path where physical change slowed to nearly nothing. Our minds stayed active. That means our subjective time moved faster than our physical time. She pointed at the place where the lines parted. If we cross back, she went on, our matter may have to catch up to our inner time. Cells may show the true count of years our minds have lived. The ship may suddenly show where equal to the work it has done in all that inner span. Will we walk out and turn to dust? Someone asked. There was no laughter. I do not think so, Simone said. Change in matter is not a simple on-off switch, but there may be a rapid shift. Our hair might gray. Our joints might stiffen. Systems might show stress that for this long has been held back. This is all theory, Kenji added. We are in a place no model fully covers. The room was quiet, heads bent over the simple drawing. In their hearts, each person tried to imagine stepping back into the flow of time and feeling years fall on them all at once. It is like holding breath, Mira said softly. We have been holding for so long. When we breathe out again, it will be deep. Subjective time will matter to that, Edda said. We need to keep careful count of how many ship days we feel. That way, we can at least guess the age jump. So they began to keep even closer track of their own sense of time. People marked ship days. On walls with chalk lines, they made rings of dots on the backs of doors. Some used beads on strings, moving one bead for each day of waking and sleep. As the lines and beads grew, the difference between their bodies and their thoughts became more real. They would look at their hands still smooth and steady, then at a wall marked with dozens, then hundreds of little lines and feel a slight shiver. The more they settled into this timeless life, the more they noticed subtle changes in mood. At first, there had been sharp curiosity and a hint of fear. Then came a period of peace, where wonder filled most days. Later, for some, there came a kind of gray stretch, without outside news, without seasons, without birthdays or holidays. The flow of life could feel flat. To respond, they began to invent new markers. They held star festivals, choosing a ship day to honor a particular bright cluster outside the window. They told stories of their first sight of that star in a circle in the observation dome. They sang songs. They made new names. These made fresh peaks in the long, even field of days. Some friendships grew stronger under the gentle strain. People who had barely known each other before now shared deep talks during dim cycles, speaking of hopes and fears they had never voiced. Others pulled back, needing more quiet. They took longer solo walks through the ship's corridors, pausing at viewports to look at the still stars. Through it all, the split in how they felt about the zone grew a little wider. On one side were those who in private thought, "I could stay like this, let the outside universe spin. I have found my own still center." On the other side were those who quietly thought, "I miss change. I miss the feeling of seasons on my skin. Even if I only remember them, I miss the idea of growing old." Noah and Simone watched this divide with care. In regular meetings, they asked open questions. Noah would ask a small group, "What scares you more?" Simone would ask gently, staying or returning. The answers varied. "I am more afraid of leaving," said Fariha. Out there, age and death wait. Here, I can think without that shadow. "I am more afraid of staying," said Jessa. "I do not want to freeze my life before it has done its full run." Some could not decide. "I feel both ways at once," Mira said, eyes on her hands. "I love the calm here. I fear the jump back, but I also miss the smell of real air on a planet, even if I only remember it. I want a future that moves, not only a present held still." Simone placed a hand on her shoulder. "It is all right to hold both feelings," she said. "We do not have to choose today." Outside, the still-time cluster continued to shine in silent light. Supernova remnants remained pinned in their shapes. Hot gas did not spread. Radioactive atoms did not fade. The containment of time held steady. Inside, the Kassandra floated in that strange rest, a human ship holding human minds that still moved. They had built routines. They had formed a small, floating community with its own stories, songs, and painted walls. They had tasted what it felt like to live where matter did not age, but questions pressed gently at the edges of that calm. What was held at the center of this still region? Why had time for matter been halted, but not time for thought? And when they chose to step back into the flowing universe, what price would they pay in sudden years? As their subjective months turned into what felt like years, they did not yet know that far deeper inside the cluster, Subtle patterns were beginning to shift, for now they slept and woke, shared food and ideas, and lived outside of time, carried by inner clocks that never fully stopped. By the time the crew felt they had lived many ship months inside the still time zone, most of the near surveys were done. They had mapped the outer edges of the region as well as they could. They had tested small probes near the boundary, sending them out and pulling them back in. Every test said the same thing. Once inside, time-based decay stopped. Once outside, it resumed. Now their focus turned inward. The Kassandra held a quiet council in the main lab. The room lights were in day mode, soft and clear. A large display at the front showed a simple picture, a star cluster at the edge, then a deeper area near the center. Simone stood beside the display, tablet in hand. Around her sat Noah, Kenji, Edda, Mira, Jessa, Fari, and several others from Science and Command. "We have made a good map of the outer field," Simone said. "Now we need to look closer at the inner zone. There are signs that what we have seen so far is not the whole story." She tapped the control. The image zoomed in toward the center of the cluster. On the screen, the stars thinned out. At the very core, there was not a bright ball of suns, as some had expected, but a strange, smooth darkness. It was not empty. It did not look like a simple patch of space. It gave off a faint, even glow in some wavelengths, and a flat, steady signal in others. "This region," Simone went on, "is where our readings begin to act. Different, even for this place." Kenji leaned forward. "What do you mean different?" he asked. "Different how?" "In the outer zone," Simone said, "time-based decay stops, but mass and energy still behave like normal. Gravity is normal. Light passes as expected. In the inner core, our instruments see mass, energy, and information tangled together in a way we do not see anywhere else." She brought up a set of graphs. Lines and colors formed a dense pattern. "These are field readings from long-range scans we have been running since we came in." She said, "Signals bounce off the inner core in a strange way. They do not show clear surfaces or separate objects. Instead, it is like everything is folded into a single fixed pattern, like a mass energy lock," Fariha said, thinking of the glossary term they had discussed before the trip. "Yes," Simone said, "very much like that. A state where mass and energy are held in a fixed shape that cannot evolve, or has not evolved since the field was set up," Kenji added. The inner dark zone gave him a tight feeling in his chest, even though it was just a picture. "How stable is it?" he asked. "Very stable," Simone answered. "Field strength is high but smooth. No drift in any measure we can make from here." "Then what made you say there are signs of something changing?" Edda asked. Simone changed the screen. Again. Now it showed a history graph. A flat, thick line with tiny bumps near the end. "These," she said, pointing to the bumps, "are small, faint changes in the signal from the core. They only show up when we stack many scans together and filter out noise." The room went still. "Movement?" Mira asked. "After all, this time?" not movement in the way we see a ship move, Simone said, but tiny shifts in how the core reflects and bends certain test waves. It might be nothing. It might be our own instruments, adapting. But it might be a sign that something inside the lock is stirring. No one spoke right away. They had all known from the mission plan that the inner core was likely to be a kind of prison. Now there was a hint that whatever was inside might not be fully quiet. What could do that? Jessa asked at last. What could stay fixed for who knows how long, and then start to change even a little? Simone drew in a slow breath. That is what we are going to try to understand, she said, calmly. Step by step, they adjusted the Kassandra's course. Until now, they had orbited in a loose path near the mid-zone, not too close to the center and not too far from the edge. It had felt safe and balanced. Now, under careful plan, they began a slow drift inward. Noah stood on the bridge as the engines made tiny, gentle burns. Outside the forward window, the stars of the cluster shifted in tiny arcs. Helm, he said to Maya, keep our speed low. No sudden moves. We are not in a race. Aye, Commander, she answered. We will inch in. Simone was there too, watching the central display. As they moved, new data poured in from the part of space between their old path and the inner core. Sensors lit up with numbers, field shapes, particle counts, gravity wave forms. Outer core boundary in one ship day came a notice from navigation. The phrase ship day now held a strange weight. It meant nothing outside this zone, but inside it had become their shared language. They kept running tests on their own state as well. Edda sent a quick report to the bridge. Biological check, she said over the comm. No change in cell aging. Brain and body functions as before. Our minds are stable, at least for those I have tested today. Thank you, Doctor, Noah said. Keep watching for any stress signs. This next phase may stir some feeling. It already has, Edda said, with a soft, dry tone. As they neared the inner core, some readings dropped toward 0, while others climbed. Kenji stood by the engineering console, talking with Simone over a shared screen. Look here, he said, pointing at a curve. Default vacuum noise is lower.